There is a politically deadly new poll out, if true, that would essentially mean Trump cannot win. Now, I'm going to couch this as no one poll tells us everything we need to know. But there is a new poll by Redfield and Wilton Strategies, which finds that 5%, 1 out of 20 Donald Trump voters from 2020 are switching to Joe Biden. With how close this election is expected to be, if 1 out of 20 Trump voters switches to Joe Biden uniformly across the country, right? So roughly by the same margin in blue states, red states, and competitive states, Trump could not win. Let's take a look at the article and then we will discuss. About 1 in 20 people who voted for Trump in 2020 plan to vote for Biden, according to a new poll. The presumptive Republican nominee will face Biden in November. Polls have shown it's going to be a tight election with a statistical tie or only marginal leads. Some polls, however, point to a number of voters flipping from their 2020 ballot. According to research by Redfield and Wilton Strategies, 5% of Trump 2020 voters now say they plan to vote for Biden. This is more than the 3% of people who voted Biden 2020 and say they plan to vote for Trump. That is a net 2% swing towards Biden. If, this is a major if the poll reflects reality and if Biden does get a net 2 percentage point boost uniformly distributed across the country, Trump cannot win. Now, I am not suggesting that that is exactly what is going to happen. The best case scenario, of course, would be very high turnout, which makes that 2% as significant as possible. Uncommitted voters, to the extent that they exist, and part of me is like, how could you possibly be uncommitted at this point? But they exist. Uncommitted voters realize Trump's not the better choice. And we do get that 5% of Trump voters that flips to Biden with a 2% net gain, given the 3% that are going Biden-Trump supposedly. Trump will lose. Trump will completely lose his mind. And then maybe it opens the door to future convictions, if there are any, leading to actually putting Donald Trump in prison once and for all. Now, that is of an extraordinarily rosy scenario. And if I'm completely honest with you, I don't do the thing on this show where I artificially raise the alarm. I just tell it to you the way I see it, which is it'll probably be close. But there is a real chance that polling is underestimating how terribly Trump is positioned right now. It's not a guarantee. It's not a reason to stay home. But if you zoom out and you see numbers like 1 out of 20 Trump voters are planning to vote Biden. Trump already lost in 2020. That was before he incited a riot. It was before he was indicted 4 times. It was before he was found civilly liable for sexual assault and defamation. It was before his 34 felony convictions. That's really the bottom line. Nothing has changed in Trump's favor. And I know that Trump and MAGA insist the indictments helped Trump. Didn't really seem to help him in fundraising. And now they're saying the conviction helped Trump. Joe Biden's still fundraising, blowing him out of the water. He conclusively lost in 2020 by 115,000 votes in 3 states, but everything has gotten worse for him since then. So there is the possibility that this is going to be an historic defeat against Donald Trump. There's the possibility that it will be very, very close. We now ignore the polls and we go and vote because the caveat that stops us short from saying this thing is over is that this is a very sick country in many ways. It's a country that elected Trump in 2016. It's a country that still has, at minimum, tens of millions of people that are planning to vote for Donald Trump. And so whether it's 60, 70, 80, or 90 million, it's still a sickness that we have in this country. And so we can't stay home. We have to go and vote with the awareness that there is a case to be made that this could be a disaster, not just for Trump, but for the Republican Party more broadly, a disaster from which they may not recover for a while. It's up to us to make it so. And that's the reason I'll be voting in November.